You're listening to At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production.
And welcome to another edition of At the Mic. I am your host, Keith Malinak. So I recently sat down with my friend Hilary Kennedy, who hosts the 4-Minute Buzz on Blaze TV. And if you aren't aware, Hilary is a big fan of UFC. So we talked about that and what it would take to get her into the ring. We also discussed parenthood, baseball cards, and some of her hidden talents as well. So let's get right to it. Hilary Kennedy, this week's guest on At the Mic. Hello, Hilary.
Hello, Keith. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. Okay, Hilary, you know, probably from all over the place, but with the Blaze family, you know her from the 4-Minute Buzz that she does, a little news thing right at the beginning of each hour of Glenn Beck's radio program.
Yes.
And how'd you get involved with that? Because you've been here for, I don't know, how many years? A few years now.
About 2.5, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I had worked on a commercial for the DIY network several years ago with two people who ended up working here at the Blaze. So that's kind of how I got on the radar. I was just keeping in touch with them.
There you go. Very cool. Well, but you were born and raised here in Dallas, correct?
Yep, from Dallas originally. You don't meet too many people who are anymore. Everybody's from somewhere else because Dallas is a great city to live in.
That's true.
But yep, grew up here, whole family lived here my entire life until recently. My sister and brother-in-law moved to Colorado because the Dallas traffic has gotten to be pretty bad. So they're the only ones that have taken and ventured off, but everybody's still here.
So how many siblings do you have?
I have one sister.
Okay.
I have one older sister, and
that's who just moved?
Yeah, she just moved to Colorado.
Okay.
And then my mom lives here, and I come from a really small family, so those are my own... the only two living relatives that I have left is my mom and my sister.
Oh, my goodness. Did you grow up in the same house? Did you move around town or?
We moved twice growing up. And I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house too. They had a really great house that was built like in the early 1900s and had like those cedar closets that had like false walls, and they had dumbwaiters and an old servant's quarters.
That's a cool house.
It was a cool old house. So ever since I was a little kid, I've been obsessed with homes and real estate. So one of my favorite hobbies is going on home tours because I have a weird fascination with seeing inside other people's houses. So if anyone enjoys home tours, please call me. I need someone to go because my husband, my mom, my friends, nobody will go with me anymore because I want to go on every home tour.
So wait now, okay. Is a home tour different than an open house?
Yes.
So this is like, you're talking about a fancy house where they open it up and say, hey, come in.
Yeah, sometimes they're fancy and sometimes they're just like these cool, unique historic homes or like these little small bungalow homes in unique neighborhoods. They usually do them to raise money for some sort of charity.
I was just going to ask you, what's the purpose of opening your home to strangers?
Right, or to raise money for like the neighborhood. But I love them so much. So I'm kind of a weird creeper that I like to see how other people live.
Have you ever spent any time in Charleston, South Carolina?
No, but I hear it's amazing there.
It's the greatest place on earth, yes. I bet there are some fabulous home tours there, whether downtown Charleston or the plantations and stuff.
Oh, I bet those old historic homes there are so cool.
And there's so much to do there that honestly, you checking out all the old homes plus all of the myriad of things to do there, you could spend a month in Charleston and not get bored.
Okay, I'm going to put that on my bucket list then.
I have got an email that Cal, who used to work here, one time he and his wife were going there, and he said, you usually live in Charleston? I said, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we're emailing back and forth, and I came up with a list that I've been adding to for the last 5 years when anyone goes to Charleston or is looking for a place to go and have a vacation somewhere they've never been before. And I just keep adding all these great things in Charleston so I can just copy and paste it and send it to you.
Send it to me. Yeah,
we'll do. And when you say that you were born and raised and you stayed local here, I mean, that includes college, too. You went to TCU, right?
I did. I'm a Horned Frog.
Okay. So
I loved it.
what'd you major in over there?
I was a television, film, and digital media major.
Okay.
Which surprisingly, my mom was very supportive of. I actually started off as a theater major, and I wasn't colorful enough for the theater major. Like, I enjoyed live theater, but I don't...
What a great spin on that.
Well, I don't sing or dance.
Okay.
And you really need to be able to do those things to succeed in theater. I learned I just didn't fit the mold. And I realized I was in one of my theater classes one day, and they had us crawling around on the floor, pretending to be a wild animal and giving our fire away. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how I was supposed to pretend to be an animal. I just had a hard time with a lot of the theater games and things. And I just kept thinking how much money my mom was spending per credit hour. And I was crawling around on the floor pretending to be a lion or a tiger.
That is awesome.
And I thought, maybe I should switch my major to something else that's performance-based, but not a theater major, since I don't sing or dance and I'm not a good fake tiger. So.
That's funny. I'm not a good fake tiger. Yeah, my wife Carrie is a theater major as well. And she told me about this class where they had to massage their classmates' butts with their elbows.
That's so weird.
And theater is a weird conglomeration of folks.
It is.
And
it's a lot of colorful, fun, spirited people.
There's that word again. I love that. There's a fun crew.
I was too vanilla for theater, I think. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So you always wanted to be on television and do this kind of job, right?
I did.
But you do so much other stuff. Like, you're a freelancer. Like, what is some other stuff that you do?
Well, so I started off wanting to do soap operas. That was like my main goal, because I grew up watching Days of Our Lives with my mom, which RIP to soap operas, because there's like 2 left.
Right.
I mean, they're all, reality TV has replaced all the soap operas.
I've never heard it said like that, because they used to be a staple.
Oh, yeah.
From like 9 in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
All My Children, Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives, like those were.
But you're right.
American TV staples.
Reality TV has taken over, and those time slots during the day are now talk shows and stuff.
All talk shows, Real Housewives, like that kind of thing. So I started off really wanting to do that because I thought, okay, that's a performance career. There's still some standards and censorship going on. So it's something my grandparents could watch, and I don't have to be embarrassed about what I'm working on. Mm-hmm. Because there's some love scenes and whatever, but for the most part, soap operas have been pretty tame.
Yeah.
And you can make a lifelong career out of it. So I thought, well, that's what I'd like to do. And I auditioned for All My Children and One Life to Live a couple of times and made callbacks and went to New York.
Nice.
And the whole bit, but never did book it. And I thought, well, I've got to pay bills somehow. And when you've got a film and television degree, like, what do you do with it,
No joke.
I hadn't initially wanted to go into news, so I started working in commercials, and then I got a job working for the Dallas Stars hockey team as their entertainment host. So I would like interview the players and do all the intermission games on the ice. And then I thought, well, man, hosting and doing these interviews, doing a little bit of journalism, that's a lot of fun because I'm still getting to do television, but I get to be me. So that's how I ended up mainly doing more hosting and anchoring, is working for the Dallas Stars.
Okay, very good. Because you've done like a morning show, a TV morning show.
I did. I did a morning show. It was a nationally syndicated morning show called Eye Opener, and it was in a bunch of different cities, but I had to be up for work at 2 o'clock in the morning for work and be there by 3. And it was a ton of fun, and I loved it, but we were working every holiday. So it was every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every New Year's. So that's hard after a while, but I did that for 3.5 years, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it would become even more difficult because you have a son now.
So there was only one person when I worked there that had a child, and I now understand why. Because I have a 15-month-old son named Fox, and you need a lot. You need sleep as often as you can get it once you have a baby, I've learned. So getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning for work would not work so well for me anymore.
No. And so would you say that's you have a unique background as far as jobs? Is that the most difficult one because the element of waking up at 2 in the morning, or have there been other stuff? Because I'm just looking at the list here of all the fun stuff you've been doing.
That's probably the hardest job as far as doing 3 hours of live television every day, starting at, like learning your stories and getting going at 3 a.m. That was probably one of the hardest jobs. Luckily, I was part of an ensemble cast, and I worked with super fun, super talented people, so that made it a great learning experience. But I have been an ice cream scooper, so I built up some serious muscles in my right arm doing that job.
Yeah.
I gained like 15 pounds that summer, but
awesome.
And then I worked as a waitress.
Okay, yeah. Save the most unique one for last, because we really got to get into that one.
Okay,
waitress. Where'd you waitress? Any restaurants that we know of or anything?
It was a restaurant in Colorado. So we would live in Colorado in the summertime when I was growing up, from May until August.
Okay.
And so I got my first job waitressing, I think I was 14.
Okay.
And I think everyone should work in a service job of some sort.
Yeah.
Because it really teaches you how to treat people. Because it's hard. And if the food is not right or the food is late, it's not always the server's fault.
No.
And so I've learned to really mellow about any kind of, service snafu. It's got to be really bad before I'll complain.
Would you say that people that have worked in the restaurant business or been waiters and waitresses, are they better tippers, do you think?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah?
I definitely am because of that job.
What's the biggest tip you ever got working in the restaurant? Like what percent or whatever?
I probably got... There was a couple, Delpha and Arnie. It was their anniversary. And Delpha and Arnie gave me like a $30 tip one time, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, that
so
is
if you're
nice.
14, $30 is,
Kidding, right?
It's a lot of money. So I did that, I waitressed.
Cabin painter?
In Colorado, I painted cabins one summer, which was a lot of fun, but also very hard work.
Right.
But that paid pretty well, so that was exciting. And then I've worked as a blogger. I blogged for other companies, and then I have my own, so I would just blog about...
You have your own blog?
I do.
Give me the website here.
It's just Hilary with one L, HilaryKennedy.com. And it's kind of fashion and style and lifestyle stuff, and a little bit of faith and family and all that in there,
How
too.
often do you update it? Because that would seem like a difficult thing to kind of stay on top of.
Yes, before baby, updated it all the time. Since baby, usually 2 or 3 times a month. So I'm trying to keep up with it.
So it's got the RSS feed where people can be alerted or something when you update it? Okay,
yeah, you can subscribe and get an update whenever I put something out.
HilaryKennedy.com, that's with one L.
Thank you.
You didn't buy both domains, have it redirect, or somebody already have Hillary with 2 L's?
Well, it's so weird when people go, they associate Hillary with Hillary Clinton after she ran for president. Before she ran for president, I never had anyone make that association with my name at all.
Oh, wow.
But after she ran for president, I had so many people. And plus my last name is
Say,
Kennedy.
and you have a presidential last name.
I never associate my name with her name because I spell it differently. In my mind, I just don't think about our name being the same because I spell it with 1 L and she spells it with 2. I'm also not a Hillary Clinton fan. So, but...
Any connection to the Kennedy family, though?
I mean, I went around telling people that quite a bit when I was a kid, and my mom was like, stop doing that. Because I would tell people oh, yes, we've been summering at Martha's Vineyard in Hyannisport and all that good stuff. But yeah, she told me nix on that because nope, no relation.
No. I gotta ask you this job here. What is a circuit board inspector?
So the circuit boards that go in computers, I worked one summer inspecting them to make sure that all the pieces were where they were supposed to be.
Oh,
and
wow.
that they worked properly. It was the most boring job on the face of the planet. That was the summer I discovered talk radio. I listened to Dr. Laura Schlesinger. Do you remember her, Dr. Laura?
Yeah.
That was
Go
what
Take
they had.
on the Day.
Yes, exactly.
And talk about your kids. How old?
Yep.
All the catchphrases.
Oh, yeah. You know all of it.
Yeah.
So that and Delilah, those were like the 2 that I ended up listening to that summer while inspecting circuit boards.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So, did you have like a little piece of paper inside the circuit board that said like inspected by number 17 or something?
For sure.
Yeah. Like what was your number? What was
gosh, I have no idea.
What is that?
I'll get to my memory issues in a little bit.
Oh no. Well, before you do that, let's challenge your memory issues and go back to the morning show, the TV show that you did, right?
Okay.
The most difficult thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is not only do you have to appear awake in front of an audience, but you have to appear cheerful and happy, more so for you, whereas like Pat and I get up at 3 a.m. or whatever it is, which is even later than 2 a.m. And what time are you going to bed, by the way?
I tried to go to bed about 6:30 every night.
Yeah, it's insanity. Yeah, time shift everything. Everything gets screwed up in your world. But see, we talk politics, and we mock the world, and so we don't have to be in a great mood, I guess. We can just talk about how idiotic the planet is, and mock accordingly. But correct me if I'm wrong. On your type situation with your show that you were a part of, you always had to be chipper and in a good mood, and yay, happy.
For sure.
How big of a challenge is that?
On the days that you're feeling great, not so bad. And I worked with a lot of really fun people. On the days that you're sick, maybe you have strep throat and they still need you to come in. And you're trying to, those are the tough days when you're just in pain. And, but I covered a lot of the fun stuff. I covered celebrity news and entertainment and lifestyle and technology. Those were mainly my stories. I didn't do a lot of hard news unless somebody was out sick and they needed me to fill in.
I see.
So I got to do most of the cheerful stuff, which was, it's nice. Weather and traffic and entertainment. Like those are the things that people leave the house, they're excited to have that information. So
Yeah.
it was a fun time.
That's really cool. So you and your husband, Jeff, who is a really cool guy, he does a YouTube channel with baseball cards, sports cards, stuff like that. Is some good information from Jeff. How can people find his stuff while I'm thinking about it?
Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel called Pack Geek, and it's mainly for baseball card or sports card collectors. He rips these mostly vintage packs, and there's a whole contingent of people out there that love to watch someone open sports cards to see if there's any great hits and something that's a really valuable card and worth a lot of money. So he started doing that for fun. He'd been doing it since he was a kid, but he started filming it, and it really took off on YouTube. And so he's got a great, really fun audience. He does giveaways all the time of some cool cards.
And these are cards, he's opening them. Are they sent to him as gifts? Or
he buys some, and then
okay.
some, like the guy that's the head of Panini, which is a big card company, he'll come on the show. He's had some celebrity guests. He's had some athletes on. He's had some other just fellow collectors that he's met.
Okay. And so they just open them together, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, because I met him, let me back up. When I was in Charleston, there was an old engineer that was clearing out his office, and he gave me these boxes, about 3 boxes, I think 2 baseball card boxes, 1 football card boxes, of almost completely full of unopened packs of cards.
Oh, man.
And they were from 1990, 91 era, which in hindsight, I've looked and I've seen that was and I know because I was a kid at that time collecting them, there was such a saturation of sports cards at that time that it really diluted the
They're
value.
not as valuable, yeah.
That era, there was just so many. It was, supply and demand. Anyhow, I met Jeff, your husband, in the middle of this process that my kids and I were finally getting around to opening these packs. These packs were pushing 30 years old. And I thought, let's have fun. And so we were opening each of me and my kids, so 4 packs a day for maybe once a week,
That's so fun.
And well, it was fun. However, it was just, I hardly recognized any of them. I thought, these are lame. I'd look on eBay, see what they're going for. I mean, I think our biggest find was like a 15-cent card. I mean, it's kind of depressing, right? But then I met Jeff, and he explained to me, No, whatever you have left. And unfortunately, we were down to about 10 packs out of, whatever it was, 50 by this time. So we got about 10 packs. He said, don't open those because you could sell that unopened pack that likely doesn't have a Brett Favre rookie card or something from that era. But whoever's buying it from you down the line is going to just assume there's a great valuable card in there. It's a great
it's a little bit of a gamble. It's a treasure hunt. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's why people get so into it, is it's a treasure hunt. And if you can kind of predict who the next big player is going to be, then you can also make a lot of money, because he really invested pretty heavily in Luka Doncic and Patrick Mahomes very early on.
Nice.
So those have paid off handsomely. But, it's hit or miss, because sometimes a player gets hurt and then you're like, well,
Yeah, but if I sell a pack of cards, I don't want to know what was in it. Don't ever tell me.
Right.
Just pay me top dollar for the pack and go open it in private, please.
Yeah,
Never
because if
tell
that
me.
Brett Favre rookie is in there, you don't want to know
I
that.
don't want to know about
that's painful.
It. That's right. So you guys just recently, in the last couple of years, welcomed your first son into the world, an adorable kid, Fox.
Thank you.
Tell us about him.
Thank you. Oh, Fox is great. He is a smart little cookie. He's a sweet little boy.
Beautiful. Just a beautiful kid.
He's been a lot of fun. The only thing that has me concerned a little bit is I can't tell if he's going to be slightly deviant or if he's just really smart. Because when you fuss at him for something, if he's doing something that you've asked him not to do, he will knock his head against the wall or knock his hand against something and act like he got hurt. So he plays the victim, so he's not in trouble anymore. And he's been doing it at his little daycare in the mornings too. If he's not being gentle with another child, and they tell him like, no, Fox, like you're not supposed to play rough or use gentle hands or whatever. He'll hit his hand on something and go, oh, and act like he got hurt, so that he's not in trouble anymore. Suddenly he's like, no, I'm the one that got hurt. So I don't know whether that's really smart that he's that learned manipulation that early, or if that's really scary.
Wow, that's interesting.
But I just wonder where because it is my first kid, and I'd heard everyone say, like, where do they get these things? Where do they pick it up from? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I always wonder, like, he'll come home and say things or do things where I'm like, well, we don't say or do that. Where did he learn this? So it's been fun.
And he's only over there just for a couple hours while you're over here.
Yep. He's only in there in the morning briefly.
He's just a very observant kid and really absorbs stuff, huh?
Yeah.
He's tough. We know he's tough.
He is tough.
He took a tumble recently, right? And I know you're lamenting the scar that he currently has.
Yes, he's got a scar right in the center of his face, like it cuts into one eyebrow and kind of halfway between his eyes. So it's kind of a big Frankenstein scar.
For now.
It'll
get better.
He may have a Vanilla Ice eyebrow for a few years
it's
where the hair doesn't
though.
grow back.
It's character, because my wife Carrie, she has a scar in her eyebrow as well. But
she's so beautiful.
You hardly even notice.
I've never noticed it.
And she doesn't do anything to like hide it or anything.
She's gorgeous. She doesn't need to. Yeah.
I agree. Yes, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
He's
a boy.
Little boys just seem so fearless. They'll just jump off anything.
Yeah.
Hit anything.
He's got to test his limits, his own limits.
Yep.
You know. Just keep an eye on him, because us boys we're not always thinking.
Right.
At 100%. And I've done some things in my life that I will say I'm lucky to be alive. You know, like I tried to peel the back of a suction cup off of an unplugged television. It was an old tube TV at my grandparents' house. I did not realize how electricity works. I still don't. And and let's put it this way, when I peeled off the suction cup, just because I thought it looked cool, I came to about 10 feet away from where I'd started across the living room. And
Keith, this is making me feel so much better.
I ended up against the couch, and I looked around, and my grandmother was just oblivious, cooking in the kitchen through the little walkway there, and I was like, how did I get over here?
All the way across the room.
What I'm saying is we learn our lessons. Some of us not as well as others.
Yeah,
but
sometimes it takes a few times of being knocked across the room.
Yeah, but he'll get there. We'll have scars, you know, it just happens. All right, so obviously, as a new mom, you probably don't have nearly as much downtime as you once did.
Correct.
But when you are able to relax and enjoy yourself, what are some things that you like to do?
I love to play tennis. I played in high school, so I love tennis. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't feel like working out, so I enjoy that. We go to Colorado every year still. I have a really soft spot for Colorado since we would live there in the summertime, so I love to do a lot of mountain climbing and hiking and rafting. I'm not very good at fly fishing, much to my mom's dismay. My mom is just an expert fly fisher.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
And the beauty of Colorado, it's such a slow sport, which I've learned you have to appreciate, but I just am not that great at it.
See.
And then, again, the home tours. I mean,
the home tours.
Any spare weekend that there's a home tour, I'm out there creeping in other people's houses.
Now, I think...
And watching UFC.
I'm watching UFC, and we have to absolutely get into the UFC talk, because you know so much about Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Yes.
Right? That's what it stands for, right? And you're a big Conor McGregor fan.
I love him.
I mean, you are like the go-to in this building for anything related to that sport. How did you get into that? It just doesn't... I'm sorry for stereotypes. It just doesn't seem to fit.
Well, so my grandfather was very into boxing. He boxed when he was young, and so he enjoyed watching it. So I would watch boxing with him growing up. And then I took some kickboxing, not martial arts, but just kickboxing, and I loved it. And then I realized, like, UFC is the perfect marriage of the things that I enjoy doing myself and I enjoy watching on TV. So I just feel like if somebody is not truly getting hurt, if there's no blood, why are we watching this? Then why aren't we watching people play chess? Do you know what I mean? That's also strategy and technique.
That's awesome.
And hard work.
Yeah.
So
hard work. Yeah.
I want to see people brawl because it's the purest form of entertainment. It's the world's oldest sport. So I mean, what I love too is most of these guys have a really great rapport. So they come to just do the fight, get the job done, and it's a battle of wits and skill. And then when it's over, most of them are actually
just good guys,
pretty good friends outside the ring. So I interviewed Stipe Miocic and Junior Dos Santos one time when they were fighting for the heavyweight title a couple of years ago. And I said, I was asking them all these questions about their rivalry. And they said, you know what, we actually really enjoy hanging out outside of the ring.
Sure.
I mean, we're really just here to battle it out for, these couple of rounds, and then we'll probably go have a beer and hang out.
Yeah, we get in a ring and beat each other senseless, but then we're friends.
And I love that.
And that's kind of what guys are too, right?
Exactly. And the female fights are so much fun too because...
Really?
Yes.
I can't stand to see women fighting each other.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, where else is it acceptable, other than watching, reality television, where else is it acceptable for two women to just punch each other in the face and get all their aggression out? And
are you like me, where I love football? I love watching it. I'm absorbed in it 12 months out of the year, really. Mm-hmm. But I would never play football. I wanted to growing up, but as an adult, I just couldn't see going full speed with other athletes. Let's put it that way. And I'm wondering, are you the same way where you like to watch UFC, or would you ever participate in it yourself? Because I could not do that myself.
If I didn't need my face for work, I would love to train to fight. Really? I would love to do like one cage fight. I think that would be awesome. But, I mean, your face gets damaged in the process. I mean, in the same way that playing football, your brain is going to take some hits. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it would be an awesome thing to be able to do. The odds of me ever actually doing it, probably not that great.
Okay. But. So you have to do one fight, one UFC fight. That's all you have to do in your life. Do you, Hilary Kennedy, want to fight a stranger? Mm-hmm. You have 4 options. A stranger, a real UFC female fighter, a friend of yours, or someone, whether in your present or past, that you absolutely despise. Which are you going with as your opponent?
Man, that's tough.
Okay, how about this? Okay, you have 4 fights in your life. Mm-hmm. Which celebrity UFC, which UFC fighter are you going to take on in the ring? Which female?
I would love, there are 2 that I really like. Holly Holm is my favorite. She's known as the preacher's daughter. She's just a good, kind, nice person. She's strong Christian. I mean, she's just an all-around good girl. Okay. So I think she would be the person I would like to fight the most.
Okay.
There's also Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I always get her pronunciation wrong.
Sure.
But she's really scary. And so
you want to fight scary?
She's more my size, but she's really scary, and I think it would be fun to go up against someone and try and defeat somebody who's that intimidating.
Okay, so we'll give you those 2 fights instead of the stranger fight. How about a friend? Is there a friend that you would want to get in the ring with?
A friend I would like to fight? Oh, man.
If you don't have an answer, that's
honestly,
fine.
I would like to fight my sister. My sister is extremely fit and very muscular, and I would just like to see if I could take her on.
Awesome. And is there any bitter moments from your childhood that you want to
She would rat on me all the time growing up for things.
Yeah,
there was never,
so
because some siblings, I don't know, because did you have any siblings?
Only
You're
child.
Only child. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if your kids do this for each other, where they'll cover for each other once in a while, they'll back each other up so nobody gets in trouble. But my sister would never do that for me. She would never be my partner in crime ever. She would always sell me out.
Yeah, I don't know that my kids cover for each other
that you
either.
know about.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's just it. And instead, they're quick to say, that was,
right.
No, what? No. Okay, so, and you may not want to answer this either, but is there any, I don't know, a coworker or some enemy from college or somebody that you had it in for you that you would love to get in the ring with? Are you going to plead the fifth?
That's tough. I mean,
Someone did you wrong.
Yes. Okay. I did have one coworker who shall remain nameless, who was a bully. I mean, just a total bully to everybody. I mean, she was the most intimidating. And when you looked at the profile of a psychopath or a sociopath, she checked every box. Wow. I would like to fight her.
You can do it for charity. We'll get it set up.
Exactly. Yeah, it would always be for a good cause.
Cook's Children's Hospital.
And then, we'd hug after it was over, and I would tell her, good fight.
And you would also say, that was for that time you stabbed me in the back.
Exactly.
Okay, so you guys, you and your husband, Jeff, you have young Fox.
Yes.
And you also have a couple of pets as well?
I have 2 Chihuahuas.
2 Chihuahuas.
They're brother and sister. We got them from a rescue organization, and they are awesome. Mm-hmm. Very sweet. Tate Donovan, who was named after the actor Tate Donovan, which most people are like, who's Tate Donovan? But if you ever watched, there was a TV show. It was kind of like a teen soap opera called The OC. he was on that show, and he was Jennifer Aniston's boyfriend at one point in time, and so he was in a couple movies.
Yes.
And so I don't know if you...
I knew when you said his name that I would recognize him if I Googled him.
Tate Donovan, but I
absolutely.
loved him. He was one of my favorite actors.
Yep.
So we have Tate Donovan, and then my husband's last name is Hofer, which is a German last name. And it's double ERs in his last name, so it's not spelled like it sounds. And so anyway, people always get the extra ERs mixed up. And so we have a little other Chihuahua named Fur Fur Hofer.
Fur Hofer, because that's what it looked.
Yeah,
okay.
so it was kind of an inside joke. But I've learned, don't name your pets after inside jokes, because then you have to explain it every time.
Well, when you go to the vet, do you not just call them Tate and Fur Fur?
We call them Tate and Fur.
That's helpful. Yeah.
But she's not furry at all, which is why it's confusing. I mean, just... note to self: don't name your children or your pets after inside jokes.
Yeah, and you love these creatures, these Chihuahuas. Have you always been a big Chihuahua fan, or
yes,
really?
That's all we've ever had. We had one terrier growing up, but we always had Chihuahuas, which they get a bad reputation for being yappy and mean.
This is true.
They are not all that way.
This is true. For 40 years of my life, I couldn't stand the thought of a Chihuahua.
Really?
Okay?
People really hate Chihuahuas.
Well, and I think a lot of it's just stuff I've heard. Mm-hmm. And in college, a friend of mine lived off campus, and the people next to him had 3 Chihuahuas, and they never turned off. They were out in the courtyard yapping their little heads off at their shadows, and they were so ridiculously annoying and loud, and I didn't have to live there, at least. I couldn't imagine having to live within such close proximity to these 3 annoying creatures. But one day we had a show here that that was doing a thing with SPCA, and it was about the time we were going to get a little dog for my oldest daughter, and I fell in love. Aww. And it was like a Chihuahua Beagle mix, but I love her to pieces. She's great, and now she's redeemed all of Chihuahuas for all time.
And you guys have other pets,
yeah,
right?
so we So we have that Chihuahua Beagle, and we have an older, much, much smarter dog. I didn't say that Tilda, the Chihuahua, was smart.
Well, they have small brains.
Yeah, and so like if she was, I say this all the time, if she was like a PlayStation character, she'd have 100 sweetness and 0 rating for intelligence. But the older dog, who's a mix of every kind of dog ever bred under the sun, he's very smart, Tanner.
Awesome.
And so that's a nice little odd couple. Those 2, and then we have
a rabbit or a turtle.
Yeah, yep. So my youngest has a rabbit named Timmy, and my son has 2 birds, 2 parakeets, Click and Budgie.
Do they say words? Do your parakeets talk?
They're trying. He's finally spending time with them. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, he for Christmas he got, because he wasn't taking the time. And Santa realized, you know what? It's time to get this kid a little box that you record your voice saying phrases, and it just repeats all day.
Oh,
now,
smart.
It probably drives the birds nuts, and they want to hang themselves.
Right.
But apparently, it's starting to take effect.
To work. Oh,
so,
that's
yeah,
cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we kind of talked earlier about, your love of, you were a theater major, and you said, I don't have any talent, I can't sing and I can't dance, but you can sing the books of the New Testament of the Bible.
I can.
I don't understand what that, just like the titles, or like, are we talking about every chapter and verse?
No, not every chapter and verse.
Because that would be
actually really impressive.
And it would be another podcast.
Mine is slightly less impressive. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was in preschool, they taught us how to sing the books of the Bible. I have the Old Testament memorized too, but it gets a little, my brain, as I'm getting older, you start thinking like, where did Obadiah fit and all that stuff. So, but I can sing the New Testament. So that's one of my many skills. And then I can crack almost every joint in my body. I am a big, I don't know, you may have been able to hear it during this podcast. I crack my knuckles, my neck,
I do
my
those
back,
things.
my knees, my toes, elbows, wrists, all of it.
Elbows?
Oh, yeah.
Like you can crack your elbows on command?
I mean, they've got to be, like, when you first wake up in the morning, I can crack pretty much everything. But I have a knuckle cracking just obsession. And it's not a nervous habit. It's just a habit. Yeah.
It just feels good.
It
the
does.
Neck and stuff. And then you're like, oh, that was a good one.
Yes, the neck. Oh, yeah.
Like, because if you do the neck and you get a big crack going, you're like, thinking, oh, yeah, it has been a while since I've done that.
It just feels so nice.
Good.
It's like giving your joints a little massage.
That's right. I like it. So they crack, but can they Can they turn and
I'm
bend?
not double jointed.
That's
No,
double
I'm not
phrase,
that
yeah.
lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I can just crack everything.
And so, other than the UFC, like wealth of knowledge, the fountain that you are with that knowledge of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, what is something that people don't know about you?
So I discovered a couple of years ago that I have something called aphantasia.
Aphantasia.
And
that's a word to Google.
Kind of like a side piece to that is SDAM, which is severely deficient autobiographical memory. And I discovered this because my husband and I were talking one night and about a math problem. And he said, well, just do the math in your head. And I said, I'm not good at that. And he said, why not? You just picture the numbers in your head and you add it up. And I said, well, you can't actually picture numbers in your head, right? And he said, yes. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I had always thought when people were saying, picture, a sunset or picture whatever in your head, I thought it was a metaphor. I didn't realize that people actually have the ability to visualize pictures in their mind.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I started doing research on it because he said, yeah, I can replay things in my mind like a movie.
Yeah.
I was blown away because I had no idea that anyone had the ability to do that. I literally thought that those were all metaphors when people would tell you, picture this. And then everything started to make sense why I was horrible at math word problems where you had to visualize, Tom has 5 apples and Bill has 7. And then I was always horrible at those because I could never visualize someone holding all those apples. So,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
So not being able to visualize pictures in your mind affects the way that, not everyone, but affects the way I'm able to remember events in my life. So having a severely deficient autobiographical memory means that you don't remember past events well.
That's what I was going to ask you.
But you retain information of things that you've learned. So
you can learn, but you can't. Okay. Earlier you referenced your sister telling on you and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember specific moments when that happened? Or you just know, there's a laundry list of stuff that she did against me?
Mainly that. I could, if it's a story that we've told over and over and over, then I'll remember the facts of that situation and I can remember a specific instance. But only if it's something that we've either talked about a lot or I have a photo of or a video of. So I think in facts and words, not in pictures.
Okay.
So I'm more of an audible learner. But it is crazy because when people ask me about like high school or middle school or college, I think mainly in facts, and it's almost as if they happened to someone else because I can't relive them in my mind. So the bonus to all of this is that you don't retain negative memories.
I was about to say, there might be a plus to this.
Yes, so that's a great thing. If something horrible ever happens or when someone passes away, yes, I will feel sad and devastated when it happens. But as time goes on, I'm not able to relive what that was like and envision what happened. So that pain isn't there the way someone else experiences it. Conversely, if something wonderful happens, I can't relive that moment either. So unless I have photos or video, I will forget the majority of what happened.
Wow. So I won't take this personally. But when you leave this recording today and you go through your day, how long, 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, how long till you forget what we talked about here? Like, will you need to know when this gets posted so that you can go back and remember what we discussed?
I would say probably in a year or two, I wouldn't remember. I mean, like when we talked about I worked on that other morning show, it's almost as if that never happened because so much time has passed. I've been here for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So much time has passed that I have a hard time remembering very specific things about working there without looking at photos or going back to look at emails or talking about stories over and over and over.
And I have a terrible memory, so I can actually identify with that. I don't know that I have some sort of syndrome or whatever it's called that can be diagnosed. I think I just have a bad memory, and that's why my life is nothing but Post-it notes like the movie Memento. I don't know if you know that movie.
Yes.
Where he has to write everything down because I just have a bad memory. That being said, as ridiculous as this sounds, I can remember where I was during meaningless Falcons games. You know, like my daughter asked me to randomly. She asked me, "Who did the Falcons play on this week in 1997 or whatever?" And I said, it was. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't have the date seared into my brain, but I knew roughly where it was in the season. I said, "Ah, it was the Denver Broncos, Dan Reeves' former team."
Now, did you
and she
remember
looked it up,
that?
and I was right.
Were you able to remember that because you're able to visualize kind of where you were in time and what was going on then? Or were you able to remember?
Yes. I know the setting. I know that I had to listen to that game on the radio in my apartment in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so that helped to...
That's how most people remember, is through being able to
absolutely
visualize where I was, what I was wearing.
In other words, if we went back in time right now through every Super Bowl, I could tell you where I was watching each of those Super Bowls because I can envision the setting, the location, where I was in time, you know.
That is amazing to me.
So that's something that you cannot do.
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Not at all. And I've tried really hard to figure out how to keep people's memory alive that aren't with me anymore. Like with my grandparents, I keep my grandfather's cologne in my room.
That's smart.
I have like my grandmother's, some of her makeup that she wore has a certain scent. Like that helps me remember them because as time goes on, and they were people I saw and spoke to almost every day of my life.
Wow.
But you start to forget. And same thing with friends. I think my husband thought I was kind of heartless when we first got married because there were people that I had been friends with a long time. But if they moved away and I didn't make an active effort to talk to them regularly, I would really completely forget about our friendship. And not because I wanted to. My brain just doesn't retain that information if I don't see people regularly.
That's fascinating. That really is. Okay, so what is it, if you have a bucket list, what is something that you would want to do in your lifetime that you just want to accomplish? What's something out there?
I would love to climb all of the 14ers in Colorado. They have a group of mountains and they're all over 14,000 feet. So I would like to.
I wanted to ask you, what does that mean?
A 14er.
Yeah.
They're all over 14,000 feet. So I've climbed 2. I would like to climb the rest. My mom's climbed like 30 something. So I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Oh my goodness.
I would like to read the Bible from start to finish. So I've started that this year. I read my Bible every night, but I've never read it straight through.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many points in the Old Testament where you're like,
you kind of
so-and-so begat so-and-so, and you just think,
can I skim this part?
Right, exactly. So that's why I haven't done that yet. So that's something I would like to do.
Yeah, Carrie did that.
Oh, did she really?
Start to finish.
That's incredible.
I think I got to 2 Kings, but that was, I don't know that counts either because that was audiobook. You know, that was an app or something.
To it.
And I was just like, I don't know. He's in a cave now. I don't know. I'm going to check out now.
I think football's on, so I'm going to go.
Yeah, get me back to the New Testament.
Right.
Okay.
And then just raising my child successfully. I think that's a good
that's a
good goal.
It is.
Raising him in one piece.
Very good.
What's one of yours?
Oh, my gosh. I want to get to every state.
Yeah.
I've been to, I'd have to check a count. I'm around 40.
Are you really?
There's that, I've really slowed down in recent years.
What's been your favorite?
Probably, I don't know. We spent about 5 days in Idaho once. I love that.
Always wanted to go. I've heard Idaho. Sun Valley and Coeur d'Alene and some of those.
See, I need to get up in
are beautiful.
Into that panhandle, if you will, up there where Coeur d'Alene is and Moscow, stuff like that, right? But we were in Boise. This is before kids. You can travel a lot more freely before you have kids.
This is true.
It's kind of funny. We, before kids, purposefully getting bumped off flights, going to my stepbrother's wedding in Las Vegas. We were living in Houston. And then same thing coming back. We had that luxury. So we ended up with, I think, $1,000 to spend with America West. It no longer exists because they were giving out vouchers like candy over the course of the next year. So we spent the next year without kids using these. My mom lived in Phoenix, so that was helpful. But I always wanted to get to Boise. And so we went up there and spent about 5 days and just had a blast. And it actually, for a while, became my professional goal to just get a job in Boise. Idaho. But I think Boise is probably on its way to getting ruined the way California has ruined Colorado, because a lot of people have discovered that, oh my gosh.
Yeah, Idaho's so beautiful.
Yeah.
The people are so nice. Everyone I've ever met from Idaho, they're just the nicest people.
Yeah. absolutely.
That's cool.
I do want to. I figure it'd probably be easy to, because most of the states that I need to get are like above Connecticut. Mm-hmm. So I want to go up there in the fall, take a train ride.
Yes.
And
always
cover
wanted to see like Maine and Maryland.
Maine.
Yes.
I think that's a good way to knock out, 5 states up there. You got Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Yeah. So I think that's where the little train ride.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Have you been to Alaska?
Need to go to Alaska.
Man, that's on my bucket list too.
Yeah.
Alaska. I would like to go to Switzerland, which is not in the United States, but I would like to go there one day too.
Yeah, I think I've just now figured out the states that I haven't been to. Those 5, Alaska and Montana. I really think that's it.
So you've been to Hawaii?
In North Dakota. Yeah, so maybe that's it. Okay. I've been to South Dakota. Yeah, have been to Hawaii. Yeah, that was fun. I did that. You haven't lived until you've taken a cruise around the Hawaiian Islands as a 7th grader with your grandparents. Yeah. So anyway, that was fun. It was actually a wonderful trip because I just hung out with these other kids and stuff that I'd met on the cruise. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. New Mexico is an awesome state.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's very underrated. But anyhow.
I agree. Santa Fe is so much fun.
Yep.
There's a bunch of little small towns in New Mexico that are a ton of fun.
Taos is a very strange community, however.
Really? What happened to you in Taos?
Carrie and I went there and it is hippie central.
Oh, really?
All over the place. There are people that haven't bathed in months. It's beautiful.
So it smells great there,
It's
then.
beautiful. It's just a strange place. Let's put it that way. This is great. I appreciate you, Hilary Kennedy, for spending time today, and I hope you can remember this.
Yeah. The odds are that I probably won't in a couple of years, but for the next 6 months, this will be one of my fondest memories.
Yes.
Thank you, Keith.
Okay. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
This has been At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production. Look for At the Mic Show on Twitter to connect.